So Titan Hulk fights an army of 500 Worldbreaker Hulks in this video, and it's amazing. Check this out. So what this does is this initially picks up with Bruce Banner in control of Starship Hulk. Now, people who have no idea what's going on in the Incredible Hulk mythos right now are probably like, what? Explain this to me, man. So here's what's happening right now. In years past, you had the Incredible Hulk who turned into Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner who turned into the Incredible Hulk. The angrier the Incredible Hulk got, the stronger he became. What's been going on recently, and we didn't know how Bruce Banner did it, but we are going to find out in this video. What Bruce Banner managed to do was basically take control of the Incredible Hulk's body, and then have the Incredible Hulk persona operate as a kind of engine for his own body. So literally what Bruce Banner does is he just bombards the Incredible Hulk personality with an endless onslaught of increasingly powerful characters. It starts off with somebody like Wolverine and goes all the way up to people like Thanos. They're all just psychic projections, but the Hulk personality doesn't know that. And so it just continues to fight over and over and over and over again. And because the Incredible Hulk gets stronger the angrier he gets, by increasing the difficulty of the villains that the Hulk personality has to fight. That's how Banner controls how strong the Incredible Hulk gets to be, or at least the body gets to be. It's pretty cool. But of course, with him in control of Starship Hulk, he basically crash lands on a world that he's not familiar with, because at this point in time, the Incredible Hulk, or really Banner, is traversing the multiverse. He's literally exploring the whole multiverse. We'll make sense of all of that as we go through this video, but in arriving on this world, he doesn't recognize anything here. The only thing he sees that even just seems remotely recognizable is just this giant citadel that's been built, and seemingly it's been built in his honor, because there's just a giant statue of the Incredible Hulk. Now, of course, he's almost immediately set upon by just these crazy, monstrous-looking Hulk-type things that are called the Gray, but then he's almost immediately rescued by a chick named Monolith. Now, we'll learn more about her because she's incredibly important here, but what she does is she explains what's going on in this alternate reality that Bruce Banner's in. And what she says is that at some point along the line, a just whole bunch of Hulks suddenly arrived on this world. They literally fell through a portal and arrived on this world. And that they did what Hulks do. They just started smashing things. They were smashing the world to such a degree that they terraformed it. They terraformed a planet through smashing it. And that's gonna be one of the craziest things, because every single one of these Hulks are all Worldbreaker level. But of course, as they're smashing and basically terraforming this world, as time progresses, the exceedingly violent nature of these original Hulks begins to go away. And what they end up doing is forming a more organized and structured society. Now, the other part of this seems to be that with the loss of their violent nature, their gamma radiation almost seems to kind of dissipate, in the sense that they do have enough gamma to basically maintain their forms, some level of their strength, but by and large, they're just kind of really strong guys, and that's it. But then, like, out of nowhere, the sun seemingly explodes, and there's just like this giant vestige of the original Hulk, right? The main Hulk. And he just starts blasting them, like covering them all with gamma radiation. Now, that's how Monolith describes it. What's actually really going on here is it looks like the arrival of this original Hulk kind of reawakens all the gamma radiation inside their bodies and turns them back into their exceedingly strong selves. Basically sends them back into their Worldbreaker forms. And so looking at the original Hulk, or the main Hulk, as kind of the person that returned them to glory, they built the whole statue and everything. And so while Monolith doesn't really know the significance of where all the original Hulks came from by passing through a portal or seeing a vestige of the main Hulk in the sky, we do know all that stuff. And this was all based on the previous story arc, which you'll find a link to in the comments section. Make sure you guys check for a pinned comment that'll take you to that video. But the way the previous storyline played out is that when Bruce Banner first entered into the multiverse, he encountered an alternate reality version of himself. And that alternate Bruce, under the direction of that universe's version of Thunderbolt Ross, was basically trying to create an army of Hulks. Those who were considered to be failures or cast-offs were literally just sent through a wormhole, and no one knew where they went to. They were just out of sight, out of mind, and that was basically it. Now, everything popped off, and we saw the Titan Hulk for the first time, which we'll talk about in this video, and so on and so forth, but that's where they originally came from. What is important here is that Monolith brings Hulk basically to all the other Hulks in this city, and kind of presents him as sort of the original, right? Like the one they all champion as the person that gave them all their gamma radiation, right? Like the Hulk above all Incredible Hulks, if you want to call him that, right? The Prime Hulk. And so they see him very much as kind of a champion of the people. More so than that, what they also do is they bring him into something called the God Ball games. Now, this is just an indication of how strong these different Hulks are, right? This planet has 3 rings of rocks around it in the same way that Saturn has rings, right? So what these Hulks do is they jump to a neighboring world and they smash the world, right? They literally just beat it and they hammer it all the way down to the point that it's as close as far as the atomic structure of everything that it can possibly get, right? There's no way to compact this core any further. And when they have that, they call it a God Ball. They bring the God Ball back to Hulk Planet, which is what this place is called. Then they use it as a game. They throw it at the rocks, and whoever destroys the most rocks wins. The idea of breaking a world is now just a game of sport. Breaking worlds is just what they do for fun, and it's just nuts, right? It's just a whole different level of strength. And so, of course, basically the Incredible Hulk participates in the whole thing. He's just like, sure, why not grab the giant core of a planet that's been condensed down to virtually nothing and start throwing it into things for sport and for fun? Why not be a part of this? Now, seemingly the God Ball games are just interrupted out of nowhere by a group that's referred to as the Alternative Universe Timeline Hazard Operations Response and Intervention Team, which, if you've put those acronyms together correctly, spells authority. Now, is it the Authority from DC Comics? No, but it's absolutely a pastiche on the team. It's basically just Donny Cates and Marvel Comics making fun of the Authority. They're over the top. They present themselves with this grand level of authority that none of them have. And of course, they're basically going after the Hulk because the Hulk had basically destroyed the previous version of authority as he was flying through the multiverse. Now, of course, at this point, Monolith chimes in and says, well, actually what was happening is the Hulk was sleeping, didn't really know what he was doing. Your guys just got in his way, and with the Hulk being as strong as he is, he plowed through your entire team. So that's really the only reason why this happened. Now, of course, the other thing that ended up happening is that the Hulk himself, along with a guy named Pave, who's another one of the Hulks here, is actually just transported to a different world, which they proceed to smash and create another God Ball out of. But the Authority being here is really more of just kind of a goofy moment. It's just a silly moment. I just thought it'd be a funny thing to reference. Otherwise, we would have normally just skipped over it. But of course, with like the Hulk himself returning alongside Pave, as well as having the God Ball, they continue on with the grand games themselves, completely and blissfully unaware of the fact that the Hulk personality inside the Incredible Hulk body is starting to become disillusioned, and the Titan Hulk is starting to manifest again. Now, here is where things get a little murky when it comes to the nature of the Titan Hulk. When the Titan Hulk first manifested in Marvel Comics, it manifested as a personality inside the mind of the Incredible Hulk itself, meaning you had Bruce Banner's personality, you had the Hulk's personality, then you had another that showed up in the form of Betty Ross. Now, we knew right off the bat it was not Betty Ross, and even within the story, Bruce Banner knew it wasn't Betty Ross, but we didn't really know what it was. What ends up happening is that over the course of this story, that personality starts to appear as Brian Banner, the abusive father of Bruce Banner. But do not be fooled by the appearance that the Titan Hulk takes, that when it does appear to the Hulk personality, it shows up as almost kind of like a Shadow King type entity, right? Very malevolent. It's difficult to make out its exact form. It's very dark, very scary, very murky, that kind of a thing, spouting stuff like your soul belongs to me, your mind belongs to me, it's only a matter of time before I take over, yada yada yada, all the kind of stuff you expect to see. And even when the Hulk personality goes to attack the Titan Hulk persona, the Titan Hulk persona just shuts it down, right? I mean, just easily overtakes that version of the Hulk like that. I mean, it's not even a contest. And in fact, we'll see just how powerful this guy is because it's next level. But one of the things to know is that with the Titan Hulk personality basically amping up and beginning to seize control, we've only ever seen glimpses of how powerful the Titan Hulk is. And this video, we'll find out just what this dude is capable of. Now, the other part of this is that once the Titan Hulk persona does take hold, Stephen Strange actually picks up on it. Now, here's the thing about this. Yes, within Marvel Comics, those of you guys who are reading, Stephen Strange is technically dead. This story takes place after the death and return of Stephen Strange. Why? Because it's comic books, and nothing stays changed forever. And so with Titan Hulk taking control of everything, Doctor Strange actually ends up getting involved. But the reason he gets involved is not for the reason that you think. And so what this does is this leads to the Titan Hulk actually initiating a series of enemies against the Hulk personality under the belief that in doing so, the Hulk personality will just face off against this endless horde of enemies, grow more and more powerful, and then when that time comes, basically amp himself up and allow the Titan Hulk to take over, right? Allow the Titan Hulk to seize control and then manifest in a physical form. The problem with this is that Bruce Banner and the Hulk personality are actually meditating together, which is something that they've done over the course of Donny Cates' run so far. They literally sit down, meditate, and they don't allow anything to bother them. And so for the most part, all these threats that literally keep being thrown against the Hulk, none of them seem to have any bearing whatsoever. Even when you have like a manifestation of the Phoenix, Thanos, Galactus, none of it seems to really impact the Hulk on a meaningful level. But at the end of the day, the Titan Hulk pushes things to the absolute limit and literally amps up the Incredible Hulk to the max level, the highest level he possibly can, and just explodes. And that's the nature of the Titan Hulk. The Titan Hulk is the answer to the question, when Bruce Banner gets pushed to his limits, he becomes the Incredible Hulk. What happens when the Hulk hulks out? You get the Titan Hulk. It's a pretty awesome concept because when that happens, the Titan Hulk is now in full control. Now, jumping to Doctor Strange, this is the reason why he's getting involved in the first place. So while we didn't initially know how it was that Banner was able to take over the mind of the Hulk and then force the Hulk personality to basically become the engine system, where we didn't know how he was able to turn the Incredible Hulk body into basically a vessel that could traverse the multiverse without being destroyed by the pressures of just space-time and all that kind of stuff, we end up finding out that Bruce Banner had previously met with Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange had actually showed him how to do that, right? He had shown him how to take over the body, or at least the mind of the Hulk, how to seize control for himself. And then after learning how to do that, what Banner had done is he had actually taken over one of MODOK's tech facilities and then started imbuing himself with the technology necessary to be able to traverse the spaceways, right? To travel the multiverse. So that's how all this seemingly came to where it is right now. Now, of course, when Stephen Strange realizes what's going on, he ends up sending its astral form into the multiverse in order to find Bruce Banner on Hulk Planet and then find a way to bring the entire conflict to an end, because he kind of sees himself as being responsible for all of this. But here's the crazy thing about it. With Titan Hulk manifesting and with all these different Worldbreaker Hulks here on this world, they didn't know what they were getting into, right? They weren't necessarily goading the existence of the Titan Hulk, and if anything, what they were actually trying to do was get rid of the Bruce Banner personality. It was one of the main goals of Monolith and like Pave and any of them. They saw the Hulk as the true personality of Banner, and the Banner personality had to be eliminated. And so by working to get rid of like all the implants in the Hulk body, getting rid of the technological advancements and so on, and just turning him into a more pure version of the Hulk, while I wouldn't go as far as to say they're the reason why Titan manifested in the first place, I would go so far as to say they have no idea what they're dealing with here. Because as soon as Titan Hulk shows up, Monolith sends all of her forces after Titan, and when she does, they all get wrecked. Not even in hell would you see a massacre like this. To say they get wrecked is just an understatement, right? I don't know what word can adequately be used to illustrate what's going on here, but these guys never stood a chance in the first place. Any attack they launch against Titan Hulk is met with virtually no impact whatsoever. He doesn't even really feel anything. While Doctor Strange astral form does show up, it does basically step into the mind of Bruce Banner and try to fight the personality of the Titan Hulk, while the Worldbreaker Hulks try to fight the physical form of the Titan Hulk. None of it's helping. None of it makes any difference whatsoever. Literally, the Stephen Strange persona is blown out of the mind of Titan Hulk, and then in turn, the Titan Hulk turns his attention to these 500 Worldbreaker Hulks and just starts sucking all the gamma radiation right out of them, amping himself up even more and making himself more and more powerful. So much so that what Monolith does is she tells all the other Worldbreaker Hulks that are left to get out of there while they can, right? Evacuate, leave, lest they die. And so that's when Stephen Strange realizes what's actually going on here. What he does is he jumps back to his citadel, he grabs an orb and then brings it back to this alternate universe with his astral form, and then he presents the orb, and the person who emerges from it is Despair. Now, Despair is a ridiculously powerful entity in Marvel Comics and is one of the most powerful Fear Lords to ever exist in the history of Marvel. I mean, this guy's right up there with beings like Nightmare, the Dweller in Darkness, so on and so forth. What we end up finding out here is that for reasons that are never truly revealed, when Bruce Banner met with Stephen Strange to learn how to control the Mindscape, it was never Stephen Strange that he actually met with. It was here's Despair masquerading as Stephen Strange, which is a crazy revelation because again, Despair only answers to some of the most powerful beings in existence, which seems to indicate there are forces out there within the multiverse that are of exceedingly high levels of power that have a vested interest in seeing the Titan Hulk personality run a complete and total rampage across the multiverse, which basically seems to happen because when the attempts by Despair and Stephen Strange are implemented to contain and control the Titan Hulk, it's too late, and Titan Hulk is seizing control of everything. He's gonna eradicate the world, he's gonna destroy every world in the vicinity in this immediate solar system, spread to the galaxy, the universe, and even the multiverse, and there's seemingly nothing anybody can do to stop it. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this video to an end. Cliffhangers. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.